SuperQuiz is a really awesome teacher's assistant that helps to not only grade assessments that you create for students, but it also sorts out the data in so many different ways that can be very helpful in differentiating and better creating a personalized learning experience for your students. I'm going to explain two of the big tabs to you today about SuperQuiz, but really SuperQuiz can be accomplished in 5 steps. Step 1, create your assessment in Google Forms. Step 2, go through and actually take that assessment as the perfect student. You'll see right here, these are the responses for the quiz that I just created, and I put in the name of the perfect student. That's going to read as the answer key for SuperQuiz. And remember that because SuperQuiz is so awesome, it creates this sidebar over here that walks you through each step of the process if you ever get lost along the way. Step 3, you're going to run that add-on, which creates this sidebar on the side. And then we need to jump to the Auto Configuration tab. Now, the Auto Configuration tab is kind of crazy in the fact that there are so many different colors going on. It might seem a little overwhelming for you at first, but all you need to know is that the instructions are up at the top and that it's all color-coded. Those color codes relate to the different boxes, and if you just literally go from left to right, it breaks it down in a really easy way. Let's zoom out and take a bigger look at this picture. The Auto Configuration tab allows you to generate a personalized email response for students who get problems correct and incorrect on the assessment. It's broken down into 6 main areas, and you can personalize all of those areas in any way that you'd like, except for the yellow. That's the only rule about the Auto Configuration tab, is that you can't change anything in that area that is marked in yellow. Let's start over here on the left. The top part is where you are thinking about your assessment and the types of questions and how maybe they relate back to standards or specific topics. And this is where you'll put in those topics of the test. If you're only quizzing your students on a couple of questions over one topic, then you'll just put something in topic 1. Do make sure that you change the quiz title at the top, however, because that is going to be used to create a folder name in your Google Drive where all of the documents that will be created for the student will be housed. So it's really important to make sure that you have or change that name. Otherwise, the default for that is math, I believe. And if you're not a math teacher, it might seem a little confusing to you why you have a math folder in your Google Drive. So you'll go through and you'll put in the different topics of your test in that left side area. You can even change the number of questions. An important thing to note here is if you have multiple topics and you have multiple questions on those topics, that those questions do need to go in order on your test. So if you ask, as the example shows here, 2 questions on planet size, that question needs to be question number 1 and question number 2 on your form. And then the planet order questions would need to be 3, 4, and 5. That is how the SuperQuiz feedback works. If you go down underneath that section, it will have the grading scale. You can change in the grading scale if you do not give the grades in that way. If we jump to the middle part, that's where you would give specific feedback for students who did not perform well on those topic areas. So what sort of redirects would you give your students if they missed topic 1? It would be a specific feedback that will go into an email that will be sent out to the students. Underneath there, there are some links that you can use for Moodle, but I've never used or played around with those areas. I usually just leave them alone. If I jump over to the right side of the page, this is a pretty powerful section as well. This relates into the area that, again, if students don't perform well on one of the topics, you can give them an extension question in that area, or maybe a question that you would like to have them do since they did not perform well on that topic. You can see there's one spots for each of the topics that you can give them a redo question or a question that you would like for them to work on more, and then also an extension question. At the very bottom, that also links back to your standards-based grading, and you can change any of the wording that is not in yellow to fit whatever you're doing. So it's set up to be proficient, needs reviewing, and is not secure. But if you're working on a mastery scale, maybe 100% is going to be mastery, while the next part is proficient, and then not secure would maybe be not proficient. All of those things you can tweak to customize to make those very personalized emails and documents that really is the magic of SuperQuiz. So once you have everything set up in the auto feedback configuration tab, all of that gets sucked into the next tab, which creates an individualized email that fits and reads the form responses coming in that will be sent out to all of your students. You don't have to do anything on the response feedback tab. The next tab we'll actually jump to is the document and email configuration tab. What this looks like here is this. Right now there's only one, the correct answer student in here, but you can feel free to go ahead and create the docs and email button. That is the last step that you as a teacher have to do to make SuperQuiz work. To make SuperQuiz work for you, you also need to go through and actually use the data in all of the different awesome ways that it creates. But for logistics sake, the last thing that you need to do, and that you can set this up before class, is click on the Create Docs and Emails button here at the top. Once you click on that, it's going to run a script that's going to generate a document. It will give you the option here, as you see, to either include or exclude the solutions to the problems in your test. I'm going to click on Include Solutions so you can see what that looks like. And then if you run it before class, as soon as a student hits Submit, it will generate and push out the email and the document to the student when they are finished, which is pretty cool. So they'll know right when they get done taking the test how well or that they did. So let's click here on the doc and take a look at how that is all set up. You can see here that it actually is a blank document because this is your template and your perfect student feedback. So there is no feedback because they got an A. On an actual document, which you can find in the folder that SuperQuiz automatically generates for you in your Google Drive. Let me click and open one of those. You'll see that it has the student's name at the top, the grade that they got, and specific feedback on each of the areas that the student did, either classifying them as not secure or needs reviewing, because that's how I had it set up in the auto feedback configuration tab. Also going through and saying and having those redirects in as well, and saying what class period the student belongs to. And this is what the answer key looks like when you include the solutions to the problems. So it says what the student gave as the answer and what the correct answer was and what their score is. So hopefully this gives you a good breakdown of what SuperQuiz is all about. It's an amazing way to save time as a teacher, to not have to spend your time grading, but actually to spend your time looking at the results to be able to make better informed decisions as a teacher as to how to best meet the needs of your students. So I hope this helps, and good luck using SuperQuiz.